Today we are going to see the history of English literature, especially the age of Chaucer. This lecture is divided into 5 sections. First we will see the introduction to the age of Chaucer, events and the features of age of Chaucer. Next we will see the biography of Geoffrey Chaucer about his family literary works. Fourth we will see the poetic achievements of Chaucer. Finally we will see the few contemporaries. So end of this lecture we will have some those questions to check your understanding. The beginning of English literature we had a mark with a dark age, a period called dark age. It is called dark age because in that age we could find a very little amount of literature, because most of the literature was in oral form, or most of the works were destroyed due to war and the negligence of the people. Next phase we have Old English or Anglo-Saxon period. That at the time the works were written mostly in Anglo-Saxon language. The next phase we have the age of Chaucer. The age of Chaucer begins with 1340 to 1400. This 60 years of period is denoted as the age of Chaucer. It is also called a period of transition. Transitions means a sudden change. There was a sudden change in political, social, and religious places of England. Before Chaucer, French literature and language was dominated in the Western world. But after the arrival of the Chaucer, English literature was started to flourish. Next, we will see the important incident and the features of age of Chaucer. The first feature was it was the era of transition. Literature was started to transform from oral to written form. Before that, most of the works and literary things were in oral only, but later the writers are started to write. There was a shift of focus. The focus was shifted from text to the readers. Reader was given importance, then the writer. The second feature of or incident of this age was 100 Years' War. This 100 years of war happened between England and France. It happened in the year between 1337 to 1453. It happened more than 116 years, but it is called 100 Years of War. At the end of the war, France got a victory, but England gained self-confidence and unity among themselves. The third important event took place at the age of Chaucer was Black Death. At this middle age, England faced a terrible disease called Black Death, or it is also called Black Fever. More than 30% to 50% of the people of England were died due to this Black Death. Following the Black Death, the people of England faced a peasant revolt, that is 1381. It happened in 1381. England faced famine and revolts following the Black Death. Government imposed heavy taxes on peasants. They started to revolt. There was unrest and political struggles at the time of Chaucer. Fifth, we have corruption of church. People started to corrupt in the name of church and religion. So now people started to question on the practices of church. So people started to question the practices of church. So let's see the biography of Geoffrey Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer was born around 1343 at London in England. He is known as the father of English literature, is widely considered the greatest English poet of Middle Ages, and was the first poet to be buried in Poet's Corner of Westminster Abbey. He died in 25th October 1400, between the ages of 56 to 57. He was not only an author, he was a poet, philosopher, bureaucrat, and diplomat. As an alchemist and astronomer, he composed a treatise on the astrolabe for his 10-year-old son Lewis. Let's see the family members of Chaucer. His father, Geoffrey Chaucer's father, named John Chaucer, was a wine merchant. Geoffrey Chaucer's wife, called Philippa Payne. Philippa Payne had a sister named Catherine de Roth. Later, she was known as the Duchess of Blanche. So, Catherine or Duchess of Blanche married to John of Gaunt. John of Gaunt was a patron and a friend to Geoffrey Chaucer. It is believed that Geoffrey Chaucer and Philippa Payne had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. Thomas Chaucer, Lewis are the two sons. Lewis was youngest son of Chaucer. Two daughters, Agnes and Elizabeth. Geoffrey Chaucer's granddaughter, Alice, who was the daughter of Thomas Chaucer, later became the Duchess of Suffolk. Chaucer's literary works can be divided into categorized into three stages. The first, or French period, begins in 1372. He wrote two great books. One is a translation of a French work, that is Roman de la Rose into Roman of Rose. It is an allegorical poem. The next important book was the Book of Duchess. It is also known as the Death of Blanche. It is dedicated elegy to the death of Blanche, that is Catherine, who was the wife of John of Gaunt. You know that John of Gaunt was a patron to Chaucer. It was written in Ottawa rhyme. The other minor poems are written in the first period: The Complaint unto Pity, The Complaint of Mars, Queen Amilda, the ABC, A Prayer to Virgin, is the longest poem. The second, or Italian period, as a diplomat, he traveled to Italy. There he was influenced by Boccaccio, Petrarch, and Dante. First work he was written in the Italian period was The House of Fame. It was a dream allegory. It was written in a octosyllabic couplet. It was a satirical poem. The first book was written in Italian period was The House of Fame. It was a dream allegory. It was written in octosyllabic couplet. It was a satirical poem. It was influenced by Dante's Divine Comedy. The second work was The Parliament of Fowls. It was also dream vision. It was written in rhyme royal. It contains passages that are directly taken from Dante. So this Parliament of Fowl talks about the marriage of King Richard II and Annie. The third work of this Italian period was Troilus and Cresside. It was an epic poem. It was written in rhyme royal, influenced by Boccaccio's Il Flastrotto. It was the longest poem. That is, Chaucer's longest completed poem is Troilus and Cresside. He wrote long poems, three long poems. First one is Troilus and Cresside, it's a completed poem. Second one is Legend of Guidoman. Third one is Canterbury Tales. A Scottish writer, Robert Henryson, wrote a sequel to this poem, that is Troilus and Cresside, in his book Testament and Cresside. The fourth book of this period was Legend of Good Women. It was the first book in English written in heroic couplet. It has 10 stories of women in 9 sections. The third period, that is called English period, he wrote his masterpiece, that is Canterbury Tales. It was written in Mid-English dialect. Canterbury Tales has 24 stories of pilgrims who travelled from Shrine Thomas Becket to Canterbury. Now let's see a few contemporaries of Geoffrey Chaucer. The first writer was John Gower. John Gower was written in 3 languages: Italy, French, and English. He was a poet. He wrote his book Confesso Amintus. It's an allegorical setting. Contains lots of anecdotes. The next famous writer of his age was Mandeville. He developed a good prose style. His most famous work is The Travels, describes travels. Other famous personality was John Wycliffe, who was an Oxford scholar. He translated Bible. He is called the Morning Star of Reformation. Now let's have some glances of Chaucer. Chaucer is considered as the morning star of Renaissance. Okay, Chaucer is also called the well of English undefiled by Spenser. Chaucer is also known as father of English literature, as you know. Matthew Arnold quoted about Chaucer as Chaucer lacks high seriousness. Matthew Arnold called Chaucer as the father of English poetry. About facts about his work: The Legend of Good Women, written in heroic couplet. Prologue and the Canterbury Tales also written in heroic couplet. Book of Duchess written in Ottawa Rima. Troilus and the Crusade written in Rhyme Royal. So let's have some those questions to check your understanding. Who was the patron of Geoffrey Chaucer? Yeah, he is John of Gaunt. Who quoted that Chaucer lacks high seriousness? It is nothing but Matthew Arnold. The work, The House of Fame, was influenced by Dante's Divine Comedy. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.